might be a big one. That might be a big one. I think that's a big one. Please stay over there. Yeah, that's a big one. Holy smokes, that's a big bass. Holy crap, that's a big one. Oh God, dude, holy smokes. What the heck? Look at that thing. Oh my God. Will you look at that? Bro, holy smokes. That right there by far is one of the biggest bass that I've caught in a long time. I'm gonna let this thing go. God, will you look at the size? Look at the size. I didn't know they even got bellies like that in the summertime. I'm punching grass today. And punching grass, fishing grass in general used to be one of the things that worried me the most. Let me know if this sounds familiar to you when it comes to fishing grass, especially if you're not familiar with fishing grass, or where you live you don't have a lot of grass. You get to a grass lake and you're like, holy smokes, where do I start? What do I throw? How do I throw it? I'm getting snagged up in the grass too much. My engine's overheating because I'm bogged up in the grass. Where do I go? Do I push in? Do I push out? Do I fish the isolate? Do I fish the edge? This grass is laying over. This grass is a wreck. This grass is on the water. This grass is on top of the water. How the heck do you start to break down a grass fishery? I promise you, it's actually very, very easy, but there's a few problems that you want to avoid. There's a few things that it's easy to think about when you're fishing grass that you want to try to avoid. Let's talk about that here. Number one, if you're going to go to a grass lake, one of the mistakes that I see very often, one of the mistakes that I made in the beginning, and I'll give a story about my first couple experiences fishing grass lakes here in a second, but one of the mistakes that I made fishing grass is not having the right gear. I know with finesse gear, I'm a finesse guy. With finesse gear, yeah, you need this rod and this size line and that and so forth and the other. If you're not usually fishing grass and you come down here with your medium heavy 7-foot moderate fast rod, it's gonna be a long trip. It's gonna be a long trip. When you're fishing grass, making sure you got the right gear is absolutely essential. You're gonna need some braid. That's very important. You wanna have braid, 50, 65 pound test braid most of the time is gonna get the job for just about every technique. One or the other. You don't have to have both, but at least come down to a grass fishery with some braided line. You're gonna have to extract that fish, like getting the tooth extracted. Anyway, you got to get that fish. You're gonna have to be able to pull him towards you. You wanna be in control. So this rod right here that I'm flipping with is a 7/8 heavy fast. Needed every last bit of it just now. I'm actually using 50 pound test braid. And I got I'm not sure what gear ratio this reel. This is a little casking reel. Worked really good today. I don't know. It doesn't even say what gear ratio the reel is. Probably 7/8 to 1, 7/3 to 1. Oh, there it is, 7/2 to 1. Not too fast. When you're fishing grass like this, believe it or not, the faster reels, those 8s, 9s, 10s, whatever you got now, they're actually gonna work against you. Just think about a bicycle. You remember when we had those bicycles where you changed the gears when we were kids? Some of you still might have it if you're a cyclist. You notice how the slow gear makes it easy to pedal, but the fast gear makes it hard to pedal. Likewise with your fishing reels. If you got to turn that 7-pounder around in the grass, you need power, not speed. If you're throwing a trap, you need speed, not power. When you're trying to extract a fish from the hydrilla, I'm going to use that like 10 times in this video now. When you're trying to extract him from the grass, you need power. You don't need speed. So nothing faster than 7s. If you can get out of it, use whatever gear you got. The most important is gonna make sure you got a rod that ain't got no you want it to have some grunt. All right, Texas rigs. I'm using, this one is 1.5 ounce weight, 4/4 hook, flipping hook, very strong hook. Don't want to come down here with those little light wired EWGs. Your terminal gear is going to be so important when you're fishing grass. Upgrade your hooks, upgrade the the gauge, the size of the hooks, get hooks that are strong enough to be able to handle that braid. Make sure your hook package says at least Superline or 3 times strong, the strongest hook that you can get. You probably are not going to be able to use the same hooks that you use for finesse fishing, like fishing a little drop shot or shaky head or something like that. That's probably not going to be your best thing to throw when you're fishing grass, like when I'm fishing in the summertime specifically. Let's talk about what else. Another mistake that I see. Bow control is a huge issue. Bow control, I caught that fish with my trolling motor up. That's unusual, isn't it? Likewise, my engine is trimmed all the way up. Why would I do that? There's a couple reasons. When you're fishing grass, believe it or not, this is going to be the most controversial thing that I probably will say in this video. Well, actually not. Some of y'all already typing and making fun about the big word I use, and probably something else at this point. But you can make a lot of noise when you're fishing thick grass like what I'm fishing right now. You don't want to do that. I see that. I made those mistakes of staying on that trolling motor too much when I was learning how to fish grass. I was learning how to fish grass, one of my first instances. I'll tell you this story, and I'll tell you why I had my trolling motor up and my engine up here about the wind. First tournament that I fished with matted vegetation grass was a BFL regional in 2004. First year I was fishing, was it 4? No, it was 2007, I want to say. We fished Lake Seminole. And Lake Seminole has a bunch of grass, just like what you see now. I didn't have any braid, I didn't have the right rods, I didn't know how to control my boat in there. I zeroed 2 days in a row. I didn't have the right equipment, and I didn't know how to handle my boat in the grass. I didn't have the right hooks, I didn't have the right line, I didn't have the right reels. I didn't know any better. So I've already made all the mistakes. So I can help you I can at least get you to the point where you're not making the mistakes that I've already made when it comes to fishing grass. Since then, I've learned a lot about fishing grass, and it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. And I think it's the most simple way to fish. There's a few things that you can look for when it comes to fishing grass that I'm 100% will help you catch fish. I have my trolling motor up. Why is that? I have the trolling motor up. I had the wind to my back, trim my motor up, power poles up, and I'm just gliding across this flat. This is acres and acres, dude. This is probably 100, 200 acres, 300 acres of just hydrilla. And in here, there's these little lanes, there's holes in the grass, there's voids where it's probably either deeper, a different bottom composition. There's places in here where there's no grass. There's different water clarities on this flat, depending on how much grass there is. I'm using the wind as an agent of movement. There's that big word again. To move across the grass, I'm using the wind. I'll go all the way that way, let the wind push me across, pull the trolling motor, and I just flip as I go along. I do that because my trolling motor is not going to go through this. There's nothing wrong with my Lowrance Ghost. All right, Bobby. Don't be talking about, well, I got the I know somebody's gonna say that. It's got nothing about the brand trolling motor. It's got nothing to do with my batteries. I'm intentionally floating across this flat. There's certain things that you want to look for as I'm floating across this flat. Absolutely important to catching fish. It's very intentional. You don't haphazardly get bites when you're fishing huge flats like this. There's 2 or 3 things that you want to look for, and there's a method to finding them. In my school, I go in deep detail of how to find those elements, how to look for them, and cut out a lot of the guesswork when fishing grass. Part 2, this is just part 1 of this mini workshop on fishing deep grass in the summer. I would love to have you guys come over to my school, and we'll talk about how to fish grass. Listen, doesn't matter where you live. Fishing grass is the same in Canada, Florida, California, Washington State, or the Potomac River in Maryland. Bass all relate to grass the same way. Grass grows the same way regardless of where you live in the country. And once you know these 3 key elements to fishing grass is going to open up a world of fish catches for you. You can sign up at my school at sufschool.com. I'd love to have you over there. We don't just talk about fishing grass. We don't just talk about fishing in Florida or just fishing in the South. We talk about fishing all over in the country, from smallmouth to spotted bass to largemouth. There's something for everybody to learn within the Straight Up Fishing School. Fishing grass can be easy. More than likely, you're probably overthinking it, and I can help get you to where you can catch more fish and have more confidence fishing grass.